All right, boys, we're in a new spot. We're in Bali now. We've left Koh Samui. This is the new villa. So we're going to be doing all the videos from here from now on. Now, today's video, we're going to talk about how to actually reverse out from a calorie deficit into a surplus or perhaps a maintenance phase, something I did back in April and something my client Ines Sal and good friend is actually doing right now. And I was talking about it with him. It's actually very, very important. And I think a lot of people mess this up, which results in a lot of problems when it comes to actually maintaining a lean aesthetic physique, which is what a lot of people want, right? If you clicked on this video, the chances are you want to look as jacked as possible whilst having the vascularity, whilst having the abs to show. So here's a pretty clear breakdown on exactly what you should do. Now, let's assume you've been dieting for around 12 to 16 weeks and you've got yourself to a very, very good position. You're lean, you're sub 10% body fat, and you're happy with how you look. You're really happy with the physique. Now, you want to maintain that leanness, but realistically, we know that, being at sub 2,000 calories or this level of cardio, that's not sustainable. We don't want to get leaner. We just want to maintain that. We want to drive fullness back in, and we want to actually make sure that our testosterone is optimized. We're feeling great. Now, the way you do this is very, very crucial, because if you get this wrong, you will look soft. You will gain a lot of fat, and then you will have to go into another diet, and you won't actually be able to commit to growing a solid amount of muscle mass, which is the most important part of obviously growing your physique and maintaining. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're at maintenance and you're getting stronger. So if you're lifting heavier, you're going to grow more muscle, and you do that while staying lean, right? So let's assume, and let's just talk about Sal's situation right now. He went down to 2,000 calories on a training day and 1,800 calories on a non-training day. Now, that's pretty low. I wouldn't go much lower than that. His cardio was at around 7 by 45 minutes. It never really went over that. And if he was to stay at 2,000 calories and 1,800 for the rest of, his life or whatever for the next year, his testosterone would plummet, his training performance would suffer, and that's not where we want to be. So what we now need to do is pretty much reverse into a maintenance phase and almost a bit of an off-season, depending if he wants to grow loads of muscle. But for him, he wants to just maintain his leanness. So the way we do that is really simple. Now, first off, when you go into any sort of calorie deficit, you put your body under a lot of stress. Your goal is now to reduce all systemic fatigue on the body. And the way you do that is you just remove cardio completely, okay? You don't want to be doing stupid amounts of cardio, especially when the body's been under a lot of stress. So we bring steps to 10,000 as normal and cardio to 0. And then pretty much from there, we up calories ever so slightly. So we're just kind of under a predicted maintenance. Now, what I've done for him is I put it at 2,400 and 2,200. The protein has stayed the same. Increase ever so slightly, obviously, with the amount of calories. The main difference is the carbohydrates and quite a lot more fats, especially on the rest day, to make sure that obviously his testosterone is increasing. His testosterone is at around 300 to 400, which is very normal post-diet. So it's important that we get that back to where it needs to be, not only for just like physical performance, but actually how you look and how you feel, when you're working and, when you're running a business. If you have low testosterone, trust me, you will notice it. Like, you will feel terrible. You will not have the drive. You will not feel competitive. So it's really important we get that back to where it needs to be. So what we're doing is we're running 2,400 calories and 2,200 training day and non-training day, and around 60 grams of fat average between the two, and a lot more carbohydrates. And now the goal of this is essentially to drive fullness and keep an eye on the weight and make sure that we're not spilling over. We're making sure that we're essentially not looking soft by any means necessary. So the way we do that is keep the tracking 10-10. We track the weight every single day, and we look at weekly averages. Using the weekly averages, we make sure that we're gaining a decent amount of weight. Obviously, there is going to be a massive increase. That's normal with glycogen. But from there, we're really, really looking to gain no more than 0.3 to 0.6 kg per week. And we're just going to try and find an optimal calorie range that he can then set at maintenance where his physique looks good. Now, personally for me, I suspect that to be around 2,800 to 2,600. His credentials, I think he's around 5'10" or so, and he's 70 kilogram at the moment. So it would seem that he'd probably get to around 73 kilogram before he would start to maintain his weight. And once he's at that point and he's at 2,800 and 2,600, he's much fuller. His hormonal balance is where it needs to be. His testosterone levels is where it needs to be. And his training is in a solid spot. Energy is there. He's actually able to push his lifts. He's now in an anabolic state, in an optimal state where he can actually grow muscle, can even put him in a slight surplus and then throw in some cardio here and there to obviously aid actual heart health and cardiovascular endurance. That could be the case, but really it's now a case of making sure that you slowly increase it. Now, the biggest mistake people make is what they do, right, is they basically go from 2,000 calories to go, fuck it, I'm bulking. They find out their maintenance calories using TDE calculator, look at it and go, oh, it's 2,600. Let's put ourselves in a 500 calorie surplus and it's 3,000. But what happens is there is a massive response from the body. You increase a shit ton of weight, but also you have to understand your appetite is absolutely fucked once you've been dieting for a prolonged period of time. So you will still feel very, very hungry eating that amount of calories. And as a result, it becomes very, very difficult. And then your body gets used to it. And then your appetite just becomes fucked. Like, I'm going to tell you a story from what happened to me, right? So I went down to 2,300 and 2,100 calories on my diet. My coach then put me straight back to 2,600 and 2,400 and no cardio, right? So I'm doing a lot less output and I'm eating very similar calories, just if not a little bit more. But I was insanely hungry. He then increased it to 2.8 to 2.6. I was insanely hungry. Until we got to around 3.4 to 3.2, I genuinely felt insanely fucking hungry all the time. I would go to bed and I'd be like, oh my God, I want more fucking food, but I can't. And it was ridiculous. And then it got to a point like now where I'm like 6 months in and I'm at around 4.2K or something like that. And now it's fucking hard. But at the start, your appetite is crazy. It's so sensitive, and to the point where like you genuinely want to eat everything. And if you don't have any sort of discipline, or you don't have a coach, or you do not manage this, you are just going to basically gain all of that fat you've just kind of lost. And then you're going to make sure that essentially you look bloated, you don't look where you want to be, you're not just happy with your overall physique. So it's really, really important that you manage this part, because if you can actually keep your appetite in check, if you keep your insulin sensitivity where it needs to be, everything will go well. Your body will partition the food exactly the way you want to. The extra calories will go towards glycogen and fullness, as opposed to spilling over and making you look fat. And as a result, you'll be much happier with your physique. You'll be in a position where you can actually now go into a bit of an off season aiming to gain 0.3 to 0.6 while still maintaining that level of leanness. That is the reason why I am now nearly 80 kilogram, but I still can, check this, I've still got decent abs. Like, I'm definitely soft. I'm not happy with the physique, but the fact that I've gained 15 kilogram, I went from 65 to 80, and I'm still holding this level of leanness, is because me and my coach especially, helped me with this, manage that transition very well. I did not gain loads of fat from the beginning. I stayed very, very true to those targets of 0.3 to 0.6, not falling into temptation, not just trying to eat everything and binge. Made sure we just really, really kind of eased into it, and made sure that we kept on top of cravings. We kept calories where they need to be, because if you do that, you're going to make sure that you don't gain all that fat back. So I hope that kind of makes sense. If you want to understand exactly how to actually maintain that level of leanness, you obviously have all the tools here. When it comes to the actual eating side, when it comes to the cravings, when it comes to actually knowing how to basically not eat everything on such a low level of calories when your appetite is so sensitive, that is simply a case of actually timing your meals correctly, eating the correct foods, making sure that they're satiating, having the right structure when it comes to your actual nutrition plan. And that is a video I'm going to make tomorrow, because that is a whole separate video and I don't want to make this too long. This is the first of my 30-day sprint on these educational videos. I'll be making them every single day in front of this view. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, I will catch you on the next one. And that's all from me. Peace.